Her Instagram post tagged me. Thanks for the loan. The comments flooded in. My old prosthetic scar didn't itch this time. I woke to the notification buzz, my phone vibrating against the nightstand like a starting block alarm. 3 a.m. The blue glow illuminated my gold medal case, empty. The velvet impression where my Paralympic medal should have rested stared back, a void shaped like achievement. 17 missed calls from Coach Jin, 43 congratulatory texts, 1 Instagram notification from Vanessa. My sister's perfectly manicured finger held up my medal. My medal. The one I'd earned through 6 years of 4 a.m. training sessions. Through prosthetic fittings that left my leg raw. Through chlorine-burned eyes and shoulders that screamed during every recovery lift. Thanks for the loan, she'd written, as if I'd handed it to her. As if the highest achievement in Paralympic swimming was something you could borrow like a sweater. The comments already numbered in the hundreds. Fans congratulating her. Sports pages reposting. Sponsors reaching out. I scrolled back through my night, the celebration dinner. Champagne flowing as committee members praised my inspirational journey. Vanessa smiling beside me in family photos, her hand on my shoulder. Committee Chair Donovan's lingering handshake and whispered, "Bright future ahead." Security footage would show the rest. Vanessa returning after I'd gone to bed. Donovan disabling the alarm. Both entering my room while I slept, drugged from the special celebratory cocktail Donovan had insisted I try. The metal case lock hadn't been forced, they'd used the master key, a clear violation of Olympic Committee protocols. But who would question the chair himself? 2 pool laps, 2 betrayals. My leg throbbed where flesh met carbon fiber. Not the familiar ache of exertion, but the phantom pain of something stolen. Something earned through adapting, overcoming, recalibrating life after the accident. I flicked through Vanessa's previous posts. Her follower count rising by the minute. Already, sportswear brands had tagged her. "DM us," they wrote, contracts materializing from my achievement. The timing was no coincidence. Paralympic qualifiers had generated less media than expected. The committee needed stories, narratives to drive viewership. What better than the beautiful, able-bodied sister of a Paralympic swimmer? The marketable face for an unmarketable achievement. My phone rang again. Coach Jin. "Tell me you approved this." His voice crackled, half anger, half disbelief. "I didn't." The words came out raw. "They're saying you did. Paperwork's been filed. Some bullshit about you wanting to share the moment." "Show me." The document appeared in my messages. My signature perfectly forged. Donovan's approval stamp. Official language about familial representation and shared achievement. "They're running with it." Jin's voice dropped. "Press conference in 3 hours. Your sister is the new face of the team." I hung up without responding. Dressed mechanically. My competition leg clicked into place with familiar pressure. The waterproof sleeve sealed against my skin, sensors activating with soft beeps. Modern miracle of adaptive technology, designed to record every movement, every pressure point, every aspect of my performance. Standard protocol, biometric data automatically uploaded after races, tamper-proof verification built into every Paralympic event since the doping scandals of 2028. I accessed the system from my tablet, 3 gigabytes of race data, every stroke, every turn. The unique pressure pattern of my prosthetic against the starting block. The asymmetrical kick pattern only my body could produce, evidence they couldn't erase. I downloaded it all to a private server, authentication codes intact. Then messaged Marco, the tech specialist who'd helped calibrate my competition prosthetic. "Need to verify race data. Emergency." "Saw the post," he replied instantly. "Something's wrong." "Everything," I typed. "Need to access the verification protocols." "Committees locked it down, citing privacy." Of course they had, but Marco had helped design the system. Backdoors existed for technical emergencies. "Meet me at the lab, bringing my backup files." My reflection in the bathroom mirror looked wrong, pale, eyes hollowed from a night of chemical sleep. But my jaw set with familiar determination, the same look I'd worn before the final race heat. The prosthetic clicked with each step toward the door, recording, remembering. a technological witness to my movements that couldn't be silenced. By sunrise, I'd reached the broadcast center where the committee press conference would be held. Harsh lights illuminated the stage where Vanessa would soon stand, where Donovan would introduce her as the new gold medalist. I slipped into the back row as journalists filed in. The chlorine sting of yesterday's victory still lingered in my hair, contrasting with the acrid smell of camera equipment and coffee. Donovan entered first, immaculate in his committee blazer. Then Vanessa, wearing team colors that had never touched her skin during competition. My medal gleamed against her chest, catching light it had earned against mine. "We're pleased to announce this inspiring development," Donovan began, silver hair catching the light. "A unique situation that demonstrates the true spirit of athletic achievement." Cameras clicked, microphones extended. Eliza has generously requested that her sister Vanessa represent the medal ceremony. A family united by sport, sharing this moment of national pride. Vanessa stepped forward, practiced smile in place. "I'm honored to represent my sister whose journey has inspired us all." My journey, my strokes, my adapted body learning water resistance patterns no textbook could teach. A sports journalist from the back raised his hand. "The timing seems unusual. Verification protocols typically require—" "All protocols have been satisfied," Donovan cut in. "The committee has unanimously approved this arrangement." Another hand. "Can we hear from Eliza directly?" Donovan's eyes scanned the room, landing on me briefly before dismissing the question. "She's requested privacy during this transition. The verification data confirms the win, which is what matters." The verification data, my body's signature written in bytes, the one thing they couldn't replicate. Questions continued, most planted, some genuinely confused. Through it all, Vanessa spoke my words, described my training regimen, explained prosthetic swimming techniques she'd never performed. My heart rate matched the memory of the final lap's push, the burning need for oxygen as muscles screamed for finish. But this time, the race wasn't against other swimmers. It was against the clock, against the live-streamed medal ceremony scheduled in 3 days. I fingered the scar where my prosthetic connected, the permanent reminder of adaptation. But unlike previous competitions, my prosthetic scar didn't itch this time. This time, it burned. The training center's glass doors hissed open. My access card beeped red instead of green. "Sorry, Miss Reeves." The security guard avoided my eyes. "System shows your credentials were surrendered yesterday." "By whom?" He tapped his screen. "Your sister came by. Said you asked her to clean out your locker." He hesitated. "Committee approved it." Of course they had. Vanessa had been thorough. 4 years of training logs, detailed prosthetic adjustment notes, the specialized swimsuit designed for my body's unique hydrodynamics. All gone. The guard's radio crackled. "Coach Jin is coming down," he said. Jin appeared moments later, lines etched deeper into his face than yesterday. "They locked you out." Not a question. "And emptied my locker." Not just that. He led me to a side entrance, access card beeping green. "They've transferred your entire training history to Vanessa's account. Digital footprint reassignment." The coach's office smelled of coffee and chlorine. Jin pulled up my athlete profile on his tablet. Where my name should have been: Vanessa Reeves. "She can't replicate my times." I scrolled through data that documented years of progressive improvement. "The prosthetic creates distinctive patterns." "They've edited those too." Jin pointed to a notation, adjusted for standardization purposes. My stomach tightened. 6 years of adaptation, thousands of small adjustments as my body learned to balance with carbon fiber and silicone, erased with a keystroke. "I filed an objection." Jin's voice dropped. "Got this an hour later." The document showed my withdrawal from coaching services. Another perfect forgery of my signature. "They're rewriting everything." I ran fingers through chlorine-damaged hair. Who else knows? "Most believe the official story." Jin's mouth tightened. "Your generous gesture to your inspirational sister." The door opened. Tara, my former lane partner, stopped short when she saw me. "Eliza, I thought—" Her eyes darted to Jin, then back. "They said you were taking time off." "Did they?" Tara shifted uncomfortably. Vanessa mentioned you needed space after sharing your medal and all. She hesitated. Is it true about the Hydrosport contract? Ice formed in my chest. What contract? The sportswear deal. They're announcing it tomorrow. Tara pulled out her phone, showed me the industry news site. Vanessa Reeves, Paralympic gold medalist, signs record-breaking sponsorship. My sponsorship. The one they'd discussed with me 3 weeks before the race. The one that would fund my Adaptive Sports Foundation. That's interesting. I kept my voice neutral. Tara left with an awkward wave. Through the window, I watched a man in a designer suit escort Vanessa across the pool deck. The Hydrosport representative who'd once measured my shoulders for custom-fit competition wear. I need access to the backup training systems. I turned to Jin. They've locked those too. Not the ones at the satellite facility. I pulled out my phone, showed him the reservation app. The one with the old equipment. The one no one remembers exists. Jin's eyes widened slightly. The tech there is ancient. Exactly. Pre-centralization, local servers only. Jin nodded slowly. I'll call ahead. Tell them you're doing recovery laps. The satellite training facility smelled of old chlorine and forgotten funding. Peeling paint contrasted with state-of-the-art competition pools. But what it lacked in aesthetics, it made up for in outdated technology. Technology too old to be connected to central systems. Too forgotten to be wiped clean. I changed quickly, prosthetic clicking against cracked tiles. The pool's surface reflected fluorescent lights and rippling patterns. No photographers, no committee members, no one to witness my methodical laps. Perfect alibi. Who would suspect someone maintaining their training routine? Eliza Reeves. A voice echoed across the water as I finished my 10th lap. I turned to see Selena Chen, sports journalist, notebook in hand. The one reporter who'd asked skeptical questions at yesterday's press conference. Ms. Chen, mind if I ask why you're here instead of at the main facility, where your sister is giving interviews about her gold medal performance? I pulled myself from the water, prosthetic dripping. Routine maintenance. Not specifying what kind. 3 sources tell me you never authorized the medal representation. I dried my face slowly. Do they? Committee threatened to pull their credentials. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. Something's wrong with the verification data. Discrepancies in the biometric readings. Is that a question? It's an observation. She tapped her notebook. The ceremony livestream is being heavily promoted. Global audience, award presentations, speeches, the whole production. I nodded, face neutral. Should be quite a show. Technical rehearsal starts tomorrow. Full broadcast test. She handed me her card, in case you want to share any thoughts. After she left, I found the facility's ancient terminal tucked in the equipment room. Dusty keyboard, outdated operating system. But connected to the old training databases, never migrated to the new system. My login still worked here. Years of training data appeared on screen, complete with readings from earlier prosthetic models. Timestamps, pressure distributions, metabolic measurements. My fingertips traced the technical signature only my body could produce. The slight imbalance in my turn, the compensatory kick pattern. The unique pressure distribution where carbon fiber met flesh. Data they couldn't replicate. Evidence they'd overlooked. I downloaded everything to a secure drive, each beep confirming another piece of proof preserved. Then messaged Marco. Found the old files, need your lab tonight. His response came instantly. Livestream buffer testing happening now. Perfect timing. The technical testing hub buzzed with pre-ceremony activity. Technicians adjusted camera angles, tested sound levels, monitored streaming capacity. None questioned my presence beside Marco, his consultant badge giving us access to the broadcast control room. They're running full tests, Marco murmured, eyes on the multiple screens showing different ceremony views. Complete run-through of the authentication sequence. I watched as a stand-in walked across the stage where Vanessa would soon accept my medal officially. Pressure plates disguised as ceremonial markers triggered data collection points. Standard security protocol for high-profile athletic events. Every step registers biometric verification, Marco explained, showing me the back-end system. Compares against stored race data. Can they override it? They already tried. He pointed to a modification log. But the system requires triple authentication for changes. They only have two authorities. The livestream buffer spun on screen, collecting test footage to ensure smooth broadcasting. Little did they know that same buffer would become their undoing. Marco's fingers flew across the keyboard, creating a secure access point that would activate when the ceremony's verification protocols engaged. Your biometric data will automatically challenge hers, he explained. The system is designed to prevent exactly this kind of fraud. I watched the rehearsal continue, memorizing the sequence. The medal presentation, the authentication scan, the moment when an imposter would be revealed. Will it work? I asked. Marco nodded. The system's core purpose is verification. We're just letting it do its job. I left as inconspicuously as I'd arrived, my presence noted only as technical consultation, in the visitor log. Back in my apartment, I watched Vanessa give another interview, describing training challenges she'd never faced. The prosthetic adaptation requires completely relearning fluid dynamics, she explained to the nodding reporter. My words, my experience. My phone buzzed with a message from Jin. They've requested your prosthetic specifications, claiming routine verification. Another attempt to replicate my signature performance, to create falsified data that would pass authentication. What did you tell them? I replied. That full specs are only available from the original designer. Perfect. Another obstacle in their path, another piece of my silent countermove. I contacted Dr. Whitmore, the prosthetics specialist who designed my competition leg. Explained the situation in clinical terms that appealed to his scientific integrity. They've requested full access to my prosthetic calibration data. His response was immediate. Without your explicit consent? Absolutely not. That violates every protocol we've established. They may claim to have my consent. Irrelevant. Biometric verification requires your physical presence and active authentication. I'll make that abundantly clear. Another protection in place, another system designed for integrity that would now serve justice. I slept dreamlessly that night, exhaustion overriding anger. Morning brought news alerts of the ceremony's final preparations. Vanessa's exclusive interview about carrying her sister's achievement forward. The committee's press release praising this unique moment of familial representation. All building toward a live-streamed ceremony that would broadcast in 37 countries. A global audience for the truth that was about to emerge. I dressed carefully in team colors, prosthetic polished to a gleam. Played the role of supportive sister as I joined the pre-ceremony tour. Vanessa's nervous glance when she spotted me quickly masked with a practiced smile. Eliza, I didn't expect you to come. Wouldn't miss it. Each word measured, calm. It's my achievement, after all. Her smile faltered slightly. Donovan appeared at her side, hand on her shoulder. Eliza, good to see you embracing the arrangement. His eyes warned against disruption. Everything's proceeding according to protocol. I'm counting on it, I smiled. Every verification step carefully followed. Confusion flickered across his face, then dismissal. What could I possibly do against the committee's full authority? What indeed? Morning show lights washed over Vanessa's face as she described my journey. Camera shutters clicked in rhythmic applause. The water resistance against a prosthetic creates unique challenges, she explained, gesturing with practiced precision. You have to completely rebalance your stroke dynamics. I watched from the green room, cataloging each stolen experience, each appropriated struggle. The host nodded with manufactured empathy as Vanessa described phantom pain she'd never felt. And the moment you touched the wall, realized you'd won gold. Can you describe that feeling? Vanessa's pause was perfectly timed. It's beyond words, the validation of years of struggle. My struggle, my validation, my gold. Donovan stood just off camera, approving smile fixed in place. The committee chair who'd facilitated everything, who'd seen opportunity in my achievement and transferred it to a more marketable package. We're establishing a new paradigm of representation, he told reporters after the segment. Expanding the narrative of Paralympic achievement. Translation, my sister photographed better on sponsors' banners. I remembered us as children, sharing lane markers at the community pool. Vanessa always slightly faster, slightly more graceful, until the accident changed everything. Until adaptation made me stronger in ways she couldn't match. The production assistant signaled 5 minutes until Vanessa's next interview. She retreated to the dressing room, practiced acceptance speech falling from her lips in whispered rehearsal. "We've got ceremony specifications from the technical team," the broadcast director announced, waving a tablet. "Authentication protocols require specialized lighting during the medal presentation." Authentication protocols, the very systems designed to prevent fraud, now primed to expose it. I slipped away as preparations continued, making my way to the ceremony venue. Security guards checked my team credentials, waving me through with congratulatory nods they didn't realize were misdirected. Beeping access codes marked secure areas, each requiring higher clearance, each bringing me closer to the verification systems that would reveal truth. "Eliza," a security officer recognized me. "Here for the family preview?" I nodded, letting him assume. "Just wanted to see the setup." "Your sister requested the original medal for the ceremony." He frowned slightly. "Protocol breach, technically. Medals are supposed to be verified and then secured until presentation." My pulse quickened. "She asked for the original?" "Committee approved an exception." He shrugged. "But verification still showed inconsistencies. They're bringing in a replacement for the ceremony." Replacement. They were switching medals, removing the one physical item that connected to my biometric data. "Is the original still here?" I kept my voice casual. "Evidence lockup, standard procedure when verification fails." He checked his watch. "Replacement arrives in an hour. Has to go through authentication too." Perfect. Another system trigger point. I remembered the weight of that medal against my chest, the slight indentation where it had pressed against my competition suit as we played the anthem. The verification chip embedded in its core, storing performance data as anti-counterfeiting measure. A chip that would still contain my biometric signature. I thanked the officer and made my way to the technical staging area where Marco waited, temporary consultant badge clipped to his shirt. "They're replacing the medal," I told him. "Already accounted for." He showed me his tablet screen. Authentication protocols require both medal and athlete verification before broadcast. If either fails, the system flags it. "Can they override it?" "They're trying." He scrolled through logs of repeated authorization attempts. "But the system's designed with multiple redundancies." We watched technicians test the broadcast system, the careful balance between recorded segments and live streaming, the buffer that collected footage before transmission, ensuring smooth global delivery. "The delay gives us our opportunity," Marco explained. "When the medal authentication begins, their fake data collides with the real verification records. And then, the system follows protocol, displays conflicting information for human verification." He smiled slightly. "But we've ensured that verification displays on every output channel, including the live stream being broadcast to millions." The technical rehearsal continued around us, camera angles adjusted, lighting levels perfected, sound checks completed with meticulous precision. "One last trigger point," Marco murmured, fingers flying across his tablet. "The ceremony platform itself." He showed me the schematics. Pressure-sensitive panels beneath the ceremonial carpet, standard security measures tracking movement patterns, weight distribution, gait analysis. "Prosthetic users have highly distinctive pressure patterns," he explained, "impossible to replicate without identical physiology and prosthetic calibration." When Vanessa stood where I should have stood, when she placed weight on the exact spot designed to verify the medal recipient, the system would register the discrepancy. The live stream buffer spun on nearby monitors, collecting test footage in perpetual readiness. Soon it would collect something else entirely. I left before anyone questioned my presence, confidence building with each click of my prosthetic against polished floors. 3 trigger points now established. The medal authentication protocol, the biometric race data verification, the pressure plate identification system, all designed for integrity, all about to serve justice. That evening, I met with Dr. Whitmore, my prosthetic designer, in his specialized laboratory. Instruments hummed with precision as he examined my competition leg. Remarkable design. He adjusted a sensor array with practiced hands. Each unit contains proprietary calibration unique to your gait pattern. Could someone replicate it? He looked up sharply. Impossible. The sensor array creates a unique data signature, like a fingerprint. He showed me the technical readout. Hundreds of pressure points mapped in real time. Movement patterns so distinctive they could identify me more accurately than facial recognition. That's why we integrated this technology into competitive verification, he explained. After the 2028 doping scandals, we needed foolproof identification. Could the committee override the verification? Not without setting off multiple security protocols. He frowned. The entire system was designed specifically to prevent identity fraud. Another piece of the puzzle locked into place. Another system designed for integrity that would now expose deception. There's something else. He hesitated. The committee requested your backup calibration files this morning, claimed it was for verification purposes. My heart raced. Did you provide them? Of course not. That would violate every ethical protocol. His expression darkened. But the request itself is highly irregular. They're trying to replicate my signature performance. They'd need more than data. He tapped my prosthetic. Each unit contains an encrypted authentication module that communicates with verification servers during official events. Technology designed to prevent cheating would now prevent them from legitimizing their fraud. The ceremony venue bustled with final preparations the following day. Security personnel verified credentials. Technical teams ran system checks. Media positioned equipment for optimal coverage. I arrived early, observation my only obvious purpose. My athlete credentials still granted access to most areas, an oversight they'd soon regret. During the technical walkthrough, I watched staff test the stage's pressure plate system. Small lights beneath the platform briefly illuminated as test subjects crossed designated markers. Weight-sensitive security measure, the technician explained to staffers. Standard protocol for high-profile events. I approached casually after they moved on, recalling Dr. Whitmore's calibration process. The careful mapping of my weight distribution, the unique pressure pattern created by my prosthetic against various surfaces, data now stored in verification servers, data that would instantly recognize an imposter. Marco joined me briefly, consultant badge granting him legitimate access to technical systems. Pressure patterns are integrated with the broadcast verification, he confirmed. When authentication fails, the system will follow protocol. They'll try to cut the feed. Already addressed. He showed me a backup system he'd implemented. Standard redundancy protocol. They can't disable it without shutting down the entire broadcast. Hours before the ceremony, security increased visibly. Officials checked equipment with heightened scrutiny. Committee members gathered in tight clusters, conversations cutting off when others approached. I positioned myself for optimal viewing as Vanessa gave her pre-ceremony interview. This journey has been incredible, she told the reporter, my medal gleaming against her chest. Representing this achievement means everything. Behind her, Donovan made final arrangements. Ensured specific committee members staffed key positions. Positioned trusted personnel near broadcast controls. All useless precautions against the very system they relied upon. Technical Director Ariana Martinez announced final preparations for the global broadcast. Equipment checks completed, transmission paths verified, authentication protocols activated. We go live in 90 minutes, people. This is full protocol, verification, authentication, the works. I caught Vanessa watching me from across the room, uncertainty flickering behind her confidence. She approached cautiously, voice low to avoid being overheard. Why are you here, Eliza? To witness. The chlorine memory of victory tingled in my sinuses. The prosthetic pressed against my skin with familiar determination. Camera shutters clicked around us, documenting what they didn't yet understand. It's done, she hissed. The arrangements are official. The committee signed off. Why make this difficult? I'm not doing anything. Perfect truth, the systems would do it all of themselves. Confusion crossed her face, then dismissal. What could I possibly do against such thoroughly constructed fraud? What indeed? The ceremony venue transformed under final preparations. National flags hung in precise formation. The metal podium gleamed under specialized lighting. Technical crews made final adjustments to broadcast equipment. Through it all, I watched, silent, observant. The prosthetic humming against my skin with barely perceptible vibration, sensors active, collecting data, communicating with verification systems. Dr. Whitmore found me in the observation gallery. "They tried again," he said without preamble, voice low. "Full access request to your prosthetic calibration files. Committee override codes and everything." Did they succeed? Impossible. His expression mixed professional pride with moral outrage. "The system requires biometric confirmation from you." He led me to a quiet corner, tablet displaying technical schematics of my competition prosthetic. Complex engineering hidden beneath sleek carbon fiber and silicone. Each competition-grade prosthetic contains a proprietary sensor array. He indicated microscopic components embedded throughout the structure. Not just for performance optimization, for athlete identification. Like a fingerprint, I recalled, more comprehensive. It records your specific gait pattern, weight distribution, musculoskeletal response patterns. He scrolled through metrics I'd never seen. Each millisecond of your performance creates an inimitable data signature, so they can't replicate it, not without your exact physiology and years of adaptive development. His eyes met mine. This technology exists specifically to prevent identity fraud in adaptive sports. The revelation crystallized everything, the perfect twist in this deception. My sister could take my medal, wear my team colors, claim my achievement, but she could never replicate the one thing that defined my journey: adaptation. "The authentication servers," I began, already flagging inconsistencies. He nodded. "The system's designed to trigger verification protocols when discrepancies appear." During the ceremony, full authentication is mandatory before medal presentation. Standard protocol since 2028. He watched understanding dawn on my face. "The system will run complete verification when the medal is scanned." Perfect. Another layer of protection I hadn't even known existed. They might try to bypass it. They can't. Professional certainty hardened his voice. "This system has more security than most financial networks. After the Russian doping scandals, we implemented tamper-proof verification throughout Paralympic competitions." He showed me the authentication architecture, encrypted sensor data, blockchain verification protocols, immutable performance records. "The entire point of this technology is to ensure the right person receives recognition." His mouth tightened. "Your sister's presence on that podium will trigger every security protocol we've built." I thanked him, mind racing with new possibilities. The system itself would expose the fraud. I merely needed to ensure the evidence reached the audience. Marco waited near the technical control room, expression carefully neutral as staff bustled past. "Dr. Whitmore explained the prosthetic sensors," I murmured. "Already integrated." He nodded slightly toward the broadcast equipment. "The authentication servers communicate directly with the verification displays. Standard protocol. They'll try to suppress alerts." "Too late." His confidence reassured me. "The system's already registered discrepancies in preliminary checks. It's building a verification case." He explained how authentication protocols worked during medal ceremonies. The multiple checkpoints, the redundant verification systems, all designed to ensure integrity in a world where adaptive technology made identification crucial. "The ceremony platform itself is part of verification," he noted, showing me an engineering schematic. Weight-sensitive panels beneath the carpet record precise pressure patterns. Another biometric signature. Exactly. Especially distinctive for prosthetic users. His eyes met mine. "When she stands where you should stand, the system will know." We watched technicians test the pressure plates. Small lights briefly illuminated as they crossed designated markers, testing sensitivity and calibration. Each prosthetic user creates unique pressure patterns. "Tarina," Marco explained, "impossible to replicate without identical physiology and years of adaptation." I remembered calibration sessions with Dr. Whitmore, the countless small adjustments as my body learned to balance with carbon fiber and silicone. The proprietary sensor array recording every nuance of my adapted movement. Technology designed to optimize my performance would now expose their fraud. "Final test," a technician called out. Staff members walked across the platform checking sensor responsiveness. Lights flashed confirmation with each step. Perfect sensitivity, the lead tech confirmed. Authentication ready. Marco showed me how the system would respond to verification failure, the protocol sequence, the alerts sent to multiple verification authorities, the display outputs for technical verification. When authentication fails, the system requires human confirmation, he explained. The evidence appears on verification screens, which they'll try to hide. Standard protocol routes verification screens to all output channels. His expression remained neutral, but satisfaction flickered in his eyes. Including the broadcast feed. The twist was perfect in its simplicity. Their own systems, designed to prevent exactly this type of fraud, would expose them before a global audience. As ceremony time approached, guests began arriving. Officials in formal attire, athletes in team uniforms, media with equipment and credentials. I took my assigned seat in the family section, program clutched in steady hands. The prosthetic pressed against my leg with familiar purpose. On stage, technicians performed final checks of equipment and authentication systems. Coach Jin found me before the ceremony began, slipping into the adjacent seat. "They're nervous," he murmured, nodding toward committee members clustered near the control room. "Something's happening with the verification systems." Is that so? Technical alerts started an hour ago. Authentication servers flagging inconsistencies. His eyes studied my composed expression. "You knew this would happen." "I didn't do anything," I replied truthfully. "The systems are working exactly as designed." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "The biometric verification?" I nodded slightly. "Cannot be falsified." The ceremony director announced 5-minute warning. Guests took their seats. The broadcast team confirmed transmission readiness. Authentication systems completed final calibration checks. Vanessa appeared backstage resplendent in team formal wear. My medal gleamed against her chest, the replacement I knew, not the original that still carried my biometric signature. Donovan hovered nearby, checking his phone with increasing frequency. Technical Director Martinez moved among equipment stations, confirming readiness. Authentication protocols active, verification systems online, transmission paths clear. On nearby monitors, the livestream buffer spun in perpetual readiness. Soon it would deliver truth to millions. Vanessa caught my eye from backstage, confidence wavering slightly before her media smile reasserted itself. What did she see in my composed expression? What doubt flickered through her mind? Too late for doubt now. The systems were active, the protocols in motion, the truth encoded in data that couldn't be altered. My phone vibrated with a message from Marco. Authentication servers registering multiple verification failures. System building case file. Perfect. The invisible wheels of justice turning within digital architecture designed for integrity. The house lights dimmed. The ceremony music swelled. The moment of revelation approached with unstoppable precision. The prosthetic hummed against my skin, sensors active, communicating with verification servers. The technological witness to my achievement now primed to expose their fraud. Committee members took their places on stage. The announcer's voice welcomed global viewers to the Paralympic medal ceremony. Cameras panned across the audience, finding my composed face in the family section. Vanessa stepped onto the stage, walking confidently toward the position that would trigger the first verification protocol, each step bringing her closer to exposure. I watched calmly, satisfaction building as authentication systems quietly compiled their irrefutable evidence. The perfect twist in this deception: they could steal my medal, claim my achievement, forge my signature, but they could never replicate the one thing that made the victory mine: the unique signature of an adapted body. Technology designed to validate Paralympic achievements would now ensure justice with elegant precision. The moment of truth approached with each step of my sister's stolen journey. The ceremony began with calculated precision. Lights focused on the stage where officials arranged themselves in practiced formation. The announcer's voice resonated through the venue, welcoming viewers from 37 countries. Today we celebrate extraordinary achievement in Paralympic sport. From my seat in the family section, I watched the broadcast director confirm transmission to millions. Screens around the venue displayed the ceremony feed, camera work flawless as it captured the pomp and circumstance. Vanessa appeared at stage left, waiting for her introduction. The replacement medal gleamed against her chest. Donovan stood nearby, committee smile fixed in place, despite the tension visible in his shoulders. The authentication of athletic achievement represents the highest integrity in sport, the announcer continued, reading from a script heavy with irony. I remained perfectly still as the ceremony unfolded. The prosthetic pressed against my leg, sensors silently communicating with verification systems. My phone vibrated with a message from Marco. Authentication failure alerts accumulating. System following protocol. Vanessa began her walk to the podium, each step triggering invisible verification processes. The pressure plates beneath the carpet registered her gait pattern, instantly comparing it against stored biometric data. First discrepancy detected. First alert generated. On a monitor near the technical station, a small indicator flashed red. The technician frowned, tapped his screen, murmured into his headset. Donovan noticed, eyes darting toward the control room. The ceremony continued without pause, practiced speeches about integrity and achievement, flowing without irony. Vanessa reached her position at center stage, standing precisely where I should have stood. The full weight of her body activated all sensor arrays in the platform. The complete pressure pattern registered for authentication. Second discrepancy detected. More alerts generated. The technical director's expression shifted subtly as she checked her tablet. Her fingers moved across the screen, confirming the growing list of verification failures. Protocol required her to notify authentication authorities. Representing her extraordinary achievement, we welcome gold medalist Vanessa Reeves to the podium. Applause rippled through the audience as cameras focused on my sister's poised smile. Behind her, screens displayed her name and accomplishment, both stolen, both about to be reclaimed. The ceremony director approached the podium, carrying the medal presentation case. Inside, the replacement medal waited for its ceremonial moment, verification chip embedded in its core. Before presentation, we complete standard authentication protocols, the announcer explained as the director placed the medal on the verification scanner. Light flashed across its surface, reading embedded data, third discrepancy detected, authentication failure complete. On monitors throughout the venue, a small indicator appeared in the corner of the broadcast feed. Standard verification notice, protocol for technical confirmation. But this indicator flashed red instead of green. A technician's voice came urgently through headsets. Verification failure, multiple authentication alerts. Donovan moved swiftly toward the control room, composure slipping. Technical Director Martinez blocked his path, tablet displaying protocol requirements. Authentication failure requires review, she explained, voice professional despite the unprecedented situation. System is following verification protocol. On stage, Vanessa watched uncertainty cross the ceremony director's face as he received notification through his earpiece. The applause faded as confusion spread through the audience. The verification screen expanded automatically on all display monitors, standard protocol when authentication fails. Side-by-side comparisons appeared, stored race footage versus claimed performance. My race footage, my achievement. My unique biometric signature contrasted against Vanessa's impossible claims. Gasps rippled through the audience as technical data appeared on screens. Timestamps comparing real victory with fabricated narrative. Biometric signatures proving identity beyond question. Donovan reached the technical console, voice sharp. Override the verification protocol. System requires triple authentication for override, the technician explained, showing him the security architecture. Authentication servers are external. We can't disable them without shutting down the entire broadcast. Perfect protection within a system designed for integrity. On stage, Vanessa froze as evidence accumulated on screens surrounding her. The announcer faltered mid-sentence as technicians rushed to respond to the escalating situation. The broadcast feed split automatically into verification mode, standard protocol when authentication disputes arise. On one side, my original race footage played with verified biometric data. On the other, Vanessa stood immobile as systems rejected her claims. Time-stamped biometric logs appeared below both images. Prosthetic sensor data provided definitive identification. Pressure patterns from the podium confirmed the discrepancy beyond doubt. Donovan grabbed a technician's microphone. Cut the feed. Technical difficulties. Can't be done, the broadcast director responded, pointing to protocol requirements. Authentication verification is mandatory before feed termination. System lockout until verification completes. Marco's safeguards working flawlessly. The integrity protection designed to prevent interference now ensuring the truth reached millions. From my seat, I watched as the verification process executed with ruthless precision. The systems I'd trusted to validate my achievement now exposing those who tried to steal it. International Paralympic Committee representatives moved toward the stage, tablets displaying the same authentication alerts now visible to millions. Their expressions shifted from confusion to understanding to controlled outrage. On screens throughout the venue, my race footage played in verified certification. My achievement authenticated beyond question. My biometric signature proving what could not be stolen. Vanessa's eyes found mine in the audience, panic replacing confidence. Behind her, the verification screens continued methodically displaying evidence. Each data point, each timestamp, each biometric confirmation. Committee members clustered in urgent conversation, realization dawning that their carefully constructed narrative was unraveling before a global audience. Technical staff pointed to authentication protocols they couldn't override without confirming their complicity. The announcer attempted recovery. We appear to be experiencing technical verification issues. Too late. The authentication servers had completed their analysis, conclusion inescapable. The person on stage was not the athlete who won the medal. Corporate representatives moved swiftly away from Vanessa, distancing themselves from emerging scandal. The Hydrosport executive who'd been beaming proudly minutes earlier now furiously tapped on his phone, crisis management already in motion. International officials received automatic fraud alerts on their devices. Authentication protocols that had governed Paralympic competition since the scandals of 2028 now executed their ultimate purpose, ensuring the right athlete received recognition. Authentication failure confirmed, the technical director announced through the public address system, following mandatory protocol. Verification systems have detected critical discrepancies. On stage, Vanessa's composure crumbled beneath the weight of irrefutable evidence. Her eyes darted between the displays showing my race footage and the increasingly hostile expressions of officials. The audience murmurs grew to concerned conversation. Journalists abandoned decorum, shouting questions as they realized the magnitude of the story unfolding. Camera shutters clicked in frantic documentation of Paralympic history's greatest fraud. "I can explain," Vanessa said, voice barely reaching the nearest microphone. "There was an arrangement, committee approved." Her words only intensified scrutiny of Donovan, now surrounded by International Paralympic Committee representatives, demanding explanations. His attempts to access override protocols met with technical barriers designed specifically to prevent such manipulation. The broadcast continued uninterrupted, verification screens methodically displaying evidence for millions worldwide. Side-by-side comparisons of biometric signatures, time-stamped race footage, prosthetic sensor data definitively identifying the real athlete. Social media reaction appeared on secondary displays, standard integration for high-profile broadcasts. Comments flooded in by thousands per minute as viewers processed the unprecedented scandal unfolding live. Hydrosport's representative approached the stage, then abruptly changed direction toward the exit. The multi-million-dollar contract discussion would clearly not be continuing today, as all verification systems confirm authentication failure, the technical director stated, following mandatory fraud response protocols. The individual on stage is not the verified gold medal recipient. The words hung in absolute silence, then chaos erupted. Vanessa's eyes found me in the audience, desperate, pleading. She grabbed the announcer's microphone, feedback screeching through speakers. "Eliza!" Her voice echoed across the stunned venue. "Tell them this was our arrangement." I rose slowly from my seat, the prosthetic clicking against polished floor as I approached the stage. Every eye followed, every camera tracked my measured steps. "We shared DNA!" she cried, voice breaking with panic. The words amplified up through the venue, broadcasting her desperation to millions. "This was our agreement!" Silence fell as I reached the podium steps. The technical director, following protocol, handed me a verification microphone. Authentication servers confirmed my identity instantly, green lights flashing across the verification panel. I looked at my sister, at the committee chair who'd enabled her fraud, at the replacement medal that had never touched my skin during victory. But not the podium. My words, calm and measured, landed with precision. The prosthetic clicked against the stage as I took my rightful place. Authentication lights flashed green across the platform. Verification screens confirming legitimate biometric signature. Cameras adjusted focus. Microphones pivoted. The global audience witnessed the moment justice aligned with truth. Authentication confirmed, the technical director announced, relief evident in her voice. Verified athlete identified, Eliza Reeves. International Paralympic Committee officials surrounded Donovan, their expressions severe as they escorted him from the stage. Security personnel approached uncertainly, unclear whether to remove Vanessa or protect her from the increasingly hostile murmurs. She stepped back, tears streaming down her face. You planned this. Set me up for public humiliation. I did nothing. Perfect truth. The systems worked exactly as designed. The original medal, my medal, appeared from secure lockup, brought by authentication officials following protocol for identification disputes. The verification chip scanned cleanly, matching my biometric signature without hesitation. The authentication protocols confirm Eliza Reeves as the legitimate gold medal recipient, the lead official announced, formally documenting what the systems had already proven beyond doubt. Vanessa stumbled backward, reality collapsing around her carefully constructed deception. Her eyes found mine one last time before security escorted her from the stage. Not hatred, not anger, something worse. Recognition of what she'd attempted to steal, not just achievement, but identity. The ceremony reconstructed itself around truth. The genuine race footage played across screens. My verified biometric signature confirmed with each documented moment. The achievement authenticated beyond question. When the medal settled against my chest, the real medal, the one that had touched my skin, as the anthem played after legitimate victory, its weight felt different, not heavier, clearer. The emergency committee hearing convened the following morning. Officials from 3 continents assembled to address what media had already labeled the Paralympic identification scandal. Security guarded every entrance as journalists gathered outside, camera shutters clicking whenever doors opened. I entered alongside Marco and Dr. Whitmore, their technical expertise essential to explaining the verification systems that had exposed the fraud. Authentication servers had generated comprehensive reports documenting every discrepancy, every attempted override, every failure to match biometric signatures. Donovan arrived with legal representation, his committee blazer replaced by an austere suit. Vanessa appeared last, eyes downcast, escorted by Paralympic ethics officers. The hearing room hummed with technical equipment. Verification screens displayed evidence gathered from authentication servers. Timestamp comparisons showed manipulation attempts. Access logs documented systematic fraud. The committee chair opened proceedings with appropriate gravity. We face unprecedented allegations of intentional identification fraud at the highest level of Paralympic competition. The evidence unfolded methodically. Technical experts explained biometric verification systems, authentication protocols designed specifically to prevent identity fraud, the multiple redundancies that had detected and documented the deception. Dr. Whitmore presented the prosthetic sensor data that definitively identified me as the legitimate athlete. Each competitive prosthetic generates unique biometric signatures, he explained, displaying comparative analyses. These patterns are as distinctive as fingerprints and impossible to replicate without identical physiology and years of adaptation. Forensic data analysts confirmed authentication records. Every stroke, every turn, every pressure point where a prosthetic met starting block, evidence beyond dispute. When my turn came to testify, I focused on facts. The medal's disappearance, the forged documentation, the systematic attempt to transfer my achievement to my able-bodied sister. The systems worked as designed, I concluded. Verification protocols detected fraud automatically. Authentication servers documented discrepancies. The technology protected integrity precisely as intended. Vanessa's testimony came through tears and broken explanations. The escalating deception, the committee chair's enablement, the sponsors eager for a more marketable face. "It wasn't supposed to become this," she whispered into the microphone. "Just the ceremony, just the photos, just the contract." Donovan attempted defense through bureaucratic language and procedural technicalities. His arguments collapsed against the weight of authentication logs documenting his authentication override attempts. His access codes used to approve fraudulent transfers. International media documented every moment from behind glass barriers. Camera shutters punctuated key revelations. Reporters typed furiously as the full scope of the scandal emerged. The committee deliberated while we waited in separate rooms. When they reconvened, their expressions conveyed the severity of their findings. "The authentication protocols have been definitively verified," the chair announced. "Eliza Reeves is confirmed as the legitimate gold medal recipient. This committee finds overwhelming evidence of intentional identification fraud." Their preliminary findings outlined consequences that would reshape Paralympic verification procedures: enhanced authentication protocols, stricter oversight of committee actions, comprehensive review of all recent competitive results. Most importantly, public acknowledgement of what had occurred and how technology had ultimately protected integrity. I listened with composure that had nothing to do with forgiveness and everything to do with vindication. The systems designed to validate Paralympic achievements had functioned perfectly, exposing those who attempted to manipulate them: justice through technology, authentication through adaptation. The medal return ceremony occurred 3 days later, small, private, attended only by essential officials and select athletes. No elaborate stage, no global broadcast. Just authentication protocols followed with meticulous precision. The original medal, my medal, appeared from evidence lockup, verification chip still intact despite tampering attempts. Authentication officials handled it with protective gloves, preserving chain of custody documentation. My parents sat in the front row, expressions conflicted between pride and grief. Their daughters, now separated by consequences neither had fully anticipated. One daughter restored to rightful recognition, the other facing ethical sanctions and public condemnation. Vanessa had requested absence, her written statement accepting responsibility while pleading mitigating circumstances. Committee Chair Donovan remained under investigation, his resignation already tendered, his legacy permanently tarnished. Officials conducted full technical verification before witnesses. The medal's authentication chip scanned against my biometric signature. Green lights confirmed legitimate match. Checksums verified data integrity. "Authentication confirmed," the technical director announced. "Verified recipient identified." The medal settled against my chest with a familiar weight. Not the replacement used in the aborted ceremony, but the original that had touched my skin during legitimate victory. The one containing embedded biometric data that had helped expose the fraud. My acceptance speech remained brief, focused on system integrity rather than personal vindication. "Authentication protocols protected athletic truth," I stated for the official record. "Technology designed for verification fulfilled its purpose." Media coverage emphasized the technological aspects: how prosthetic sensors had provided definitive identification, how authentication servers had documented discrepancies, how verification systems had exposed manipulation attempts. The story became not just about fraud, but about how technology developed for Paralympic athletes had ultimately protected the integrity of adaptive sport at its highest level. When cameras finally stopped clicking and officials completed documentation, a single International Paralympic Committee representative approached with solemn purpose. "The committee wishes to formally apologize," she said quietly. "The verification systems worked perfectly. Human oversight failed." "Systems designed for integrity eventually reveal truth," I replied, fingers trailing across the medal's authentication chip. "That's why they exist." I left as I had entered, under my own power, prosthetic clicking against polished floors. Biometric signature authenticating every step. Identity verified, achievement confirmed, truth restored through the very technology that defined Paralympic competition. Not victory through revenge, but vindication through verification. 6 months passed, seasons changed, the scandal faded from headlines as newer controversies captured public attention. But its impact resonated through Paralympic sports with permanent consequence. The Adaptive Training Center opened without elaborate ceremony. No ribbon cutting, no political speeches. Just doors unlocked to welcome athletes who understood adaptation wasn't weakness, but transformation. Sunlight streamed through high windows, illuminating specialized equipment designed for bodies that refused conventional definition. Pressure-sensitive floors recorded biometric patterns, optimizing training for each unique physiology. Authentication scanners monitored performance metrics, ensuring accurate progress tracking. The pool temperature is optimal, Coach Jin announced, checking systems with practiced precision. The chlorine scent triggered memories of victory and vindication. First training group in 10 minutes. I adjusted settings on the prosthetic monitoring station, calibration tools arranged with methodical care. The center's technology reflected everything we'd learned through Scandal. Verification as protection, authentication as validation, adaptation as strength. The former sponsorship funds, redirected after Vanessa's disqualification, had built something more valuable than individual glory. A facility where Paralympic athletes received specialized training based on their specific adaptations. Where technology served integrity rather than manipulation. Marco supervised the installation of enhanced verification systems, features that would become standard across adaptive sports worldwide. His expertise had transitioned from exposing fraud to preventing its recurrence. Authentication protocols look solid, he confirmed, testing the biometric monitoring stations. Each athlete's signature registers perfectly. The center embodied transformation beyond architecture. Former committee members had contributed expertise without authority. Sponsors had provided support without exploitation. Technology companies had developed verification systems that prioritized integrity over image. Dr. Whitmore arrived with the latest prosthetic prototypes, each containing enhanced sensor arrays and improved authentication modules. These will provide even more precise biometric signatures, he explained, demonstrating calibration techniques to junior technicians, making verification absolutely definitive. The center's philosophy rejected the circumstances that had necessitated its creation. No achievements stolen, no identities questioned, no adaptation viewed as less than transformation. Donovan had resigned from all sporting positions, his legacy permanently altered by authentication records that couldn't be manipulated. The committee operated under reformed protocols emphasizing verification transparency and ethical oversight, and Vanessa had begun community service with adaptive sports programs, her sentence designed to create understanding she had lacked. Our parents reported gradual changes in her perspective, not redemption, but perhaps the beginning of comprehension. My medal hung in the center's integrity exhibit, authentication chip still actively verifying its legitimacy against my biometric signature. Not displayed as personal achievement, but as testament to verification systems that had protected the principle of earned recognition. Young athletes arrived for morning training, some with prosthetics, others with different adaptations. Each received individual calibration, their unique biometric signatures recorded for personalized coaching and verified progress tracking. Among them walked Maya, a 14-year-old swimmer with a prosthetic leg similar to mine. Her eyes held the determined focus I recognized from countless reflections. Her questions revealed understanding of hydrodynamics beyond her years. The water resistance creates torque against the prosthetic, she observed during our first session. How did you compensate? I showed her the specialized techniques developed through years of adaptation. The counterbalance movements, the adjusted stroke timing, the recalibrated turn approach that transformed perceived disadvantage into unique advantage. 6 weeks of focused training transformed her performance. Verification systems documented each improvement. Authentication protocols ensuring accurate progress tracking. Her biometric signature evolved as adaptation became optimization. Regional championships next month, Coach Jin announced during morning briefing, Maya's name highlighted on the qualification list. First competition under new verification protocols. The authentication systems that had exposed fraud now protected opportunity. Each athlete's biometric signature verified before competition, their achievements documented beyond question, their adaptations recognized as legitimate athletic development. Maya's competition preparation followed methodical progression. Training intensity calibrated to peak performance timing. Prosthetic adjustments optimized for competition conditions. Mental preparation focused on process rather than outcome. When competition day arrived, the venue hummed with familiar energy. Starting blocks awaited determined athletes. Timing systems prepared to document achievement. Authentication protocols stood ready to verify legitimate performance. Maya adjusted her prosthetic with practiced precision, sensors activating with soft beeps. The technical official scanned her authentication chip, verification screen flashing green confirmation. Athlete verified, he announced, following protocols established after the scandal. Clear to compete. From the coaches section, I watched her approach the starting block. The prosthetic clicked against tiles with confident rhythm. The starting signal echoed across expectant silence. The water embraced adapted bodies with equal resistance. Maya's technique reflected hours of specialized training. The adjusted stroke pattern, the optimized turn approach, the unique kick sequence only her specific adaptation could produce. All creating a biometric signature as distinctive as fingerprints, documented by authentication systems designed to protect integrity. When her hand touched the wall, the timing system flashed victory. Authentication servers confirmed legitimate achievement. Verification protocols documented every aspect of her performance. The medal ceremony followed reformed procedures. Authentication checks confirmed athlete identity. Verification screens displayed biometric confirmation. The award presented with validated certainty. When Maya's medal settled against her competition suit, its weight carried legitimate recognition. Achievement verified, performance authenticated, adaptation acknowledged as athletic strength. My parents attended the competition, their support now untainted by divided loyalty. They applauded achievement rather than appearance, understanding that adaptation required greater athletic development than conventional performance. In the spectator section, I noticed Vanessa watching quietly, not seeking attention, not claiming connection, simply observing what legitimate achievement looked like when properly authenticated. Our eyes met briefly across the venue. Not forgiveness, but perhaps understanding. Recognition that some achievements cannot be borrowed or stolen. That adaptation creates strengths inaccessible to conventional experience. The international broadcast covered Maya's victory with appropriate focus on athletic performance rather than inspirational narrative. Technical analysis explained the specialized techniques. Performance metrics documented verified improvement. Authentication protocols ensured legitimate recognition. Later that evening, the center hosted a small celebration for Maya's achievement. Athletes and coaches gathered around verification screens showing race analysis and performance metrics. Authentication servers documented another legitimate milestone in Paralympic development. Your techniques made the difference, Maya told me, medal authenticated against her biometric signature, the adjusted stroke timing especially. Your achievement, I corrected gently, your adaptation, your signature performance. The phrases carried weight beyond motivation. Technical accuracy in a world where verification protected legitimate recognition, where authentication systems ensured rightful acknowledgement, where adaptation received respect as athletic development rather than inspirational narrative. The center's philosophy spread through international adaptive sports. Authentication protocols standardized across competitions. Verification systems protecting integrity with technological precision. Adaptation recognized as legitimate athletic development requiring specialized training. My Instagram filled with images from the center's development programs. Young athletes discovering that adaptation created unique capabilities. Authentication systems documenting legitimate progress. Verification protocols ensuring rightful recognition. No inspirational journeys or overcome adversity narratives. Just athletes developing specialized techniques, their biometric signatures as legitimate as any conventional performance. My latest post showed Maya alongside other center athletes, their achievements authenticated by the same systems that had exposed attempted fraud. The caption avoided inspiration in favor of verification, authenticated performance through specialized training. Comments numbered in hundreds. Athletes seeking legitimate development rather than inspirational narratives. Coaches requesting verification protocol information. Authentication experts offering technical enhancement suggestions. The sensory details that had once marked my competitive career, chlorine scent, camera shutters, prosthetic clicks against starting blocks, now defined my coaching approach: technical precision, authentication protocols, verified improvement. The prosthetic no longer triggered phantom memories of stolen achievement. Its sensors functioned as designed, documenting legitimate performance, creating unique biometric signatures, ensuring proper authentication. My phone buzzed with a message from the International Paralympic Committee: approval for the center's verification protocols to become global standard. Authentication systems developed from Scandal, now protecting all adaptive athletes. I watched Maya lead younger athletes through prosthetic calibration procedures, explaining authentication protocols with technical precision beyond her years, the next generation who would never experience unverified achievement or question recognition. The prosthetic didn't itch anymore, it propelled.